Good evening and welcome to the Connecticut Department of Transportation's Public Information Meeting for Project number 35198, Rehabilitation of Bridge number 6821, Interstate 95 over drainage in Darien. My name is Susan Morneau and I'm a project engineer with the Connecticut Department of Transportation. I would like to welcome everyone who's taken the time to tune in for tonight's presentation. We hope this will be informative and we are able to answer all your questions and concerns, so by the time we are done, you will have a better understanding of our project. Before I get into the presentation and introduce the project team, I would like to go over a few housekeeping items and explain tonight's format. Our presentation will last approximately 15 minutes, and once it is complete, we will host a live question and answer session. You will have three means of communicating with us. You can send an email, leave a voicemail, or if you are watching us on MS Teams, you can post your question in the chat field to the right of your screen. The project team will monitor the project email, phone, and chat periodically during the presentation and Q&A session. The questions asked by any of these methods will be posted to the MS Teams Q&A chat window. We will read all the questions out loud for the project team to answer. You can ask questions at any time during the presentation, but we will answer these during the live Q&A session. As I mentioned, the three means of communicating with the project team will be by email, which is dotproject35-198 at ct.gov, or by telephone at 860-944-1111. If you joined us using MS Teams Live, you can also use the chat function, which I will explain on the next slide. A recording of tonight's entire presentation, including the Q&A session, will be stored on the project webpage. The webpage can be found at portal.ct.gov/DOT DARIEN 0035-0198. Lastly, please remember that you can ask questions or provide comments through March 24, 2022 via either email or telephone. The MS Team chat function is only available during tonight's live Q&A session. I would now like to begin the presentation by introducing the project team. This first slide is for the Connecticut Department of Transportation. Bart Sweeney is the Division Chief of Bridges and is in the first photo on the left of your screen. To the right of him is Louis Bacho, Consultant Engineer Bridge, Principal Engineer. Next is Alvaro Garcia Jr., CE Bridge Transportation Supervising Engineer. My name is Susan Morneau, and I am the CE Bridge Project Engineer for this project, and my photo is on the right of your screen. On the second slide, also from the Department of Transportation, is Matt Janikopoulos, the Right-of-Way Coordinator from the Office of Right-of-Way. Matt's photo is the first photo on the left of your screen. He will speak a little later and provide an overview of the procedures followed by the department for right-of-way impacts to properties affected by this project. Next, we have BL Companies. BL Companies is the consultant liaison engineer in this project and will work with the department to administer the project. Jennifer Usher is the senior project manager for BL, and her photo is next. Jennifer will be the MC for the Q&A session of tonight's presentation. Next is David Chichia. He is the principal engineer from BL. The last photo on the right is Stephanie Maurer, a senior engineer from BL Companies. You will hear from Stephanie when she discusses the proposed project. The designer for the project is Prime AE Group. We would like you to know that no person shall, on the basis of race, color, or national origin, be excluded from participation or subject to discrimination in the development of this project. A civil rights flyer is available. We would greatly appreciate if you could fill out the voluntary post-meeting survey for the department. The results of this survey will help us improve these public meetings going forward. The links to both the civil rights flyer and the survey are located on the previously mentioned project webpage. A recording of the formal presentation will be posted to YouTube after the live event. Closed captioning, including non-English translation options, will be available at that time.
La grabación de esta presentación estará disponible en YouTube al finalizar el evento virtual. La misma tendrá disponibles subtítulos y traducción a otros idiomas.
Here's a map showing the project location. Bridge number 6821 conveys drainage under I-95 and the exit 10 ramp in Darien. Here's an aerial photo of the project location. The structure is located 650 feet west of the I-95 off-ramp and Norotan Avenue. Bridge number 6821 is shown in yellow. During the course of this presentation, you may hear us use terms that aren't necessarily familiar to you. We thought it would be helpful to introduce you to a few. The Department of Transportation refers to any culvert over 6 foot in diameter as a bridge. For this project, when you hear us referring to this structure as a bridge, please realize that it is technically a culvert or a large pipe. In this slide, you can see a pipe going under the roadway. The pipe invert is the lowest point on the bottom of the pipe. In the slide, you can also see a wall built at the end of the drainage pipe. In this case, the wall is at the outlet end of the pipe, so it is called the end wall. The wall at the inlet side of the pipe, which you can't see in this slide, would be called a head wall. The wing walls help retain the embankment adjacent to the culvert, control grade elevations, and can also help prevent scour and erosion. Bridge number 6821 was built in 1955 and is a 6 foot wide by 3.5 foot tall asphalt coated corrugated metal pipe arch culvert. This slide shows a photo of the structure taken from the outlet. The culvert is under approximately 4 feet of fill with a sloped embankment at the outlet. The structure is 276 feet long. The average daily traffic, or ADT, is approximately 123,700 vehicles. This is based on the 2020 CTDOT traffic log. This slide shows the project area at street level. In the photo on the left, we are on I-95 southbound looking east. I-95 southbound over the structure consists of the exit 10 on-ramp and 3 travel lanes with the left and right shoulder. The red circle with cones in it is where the culvert crosses under the ramp. In the photo on the right, we are on I-95 northbound, also looking east. I-95 northbound in this area consists of the exit 10 off-ramp and 3 travel lanes with a left and right shoulder. The purpose of this project is to address structural deterioration and hydraulic inadequacy. There are 2 photos on the right of the slide. In the upper photo, you can see the section loss in the culvert floor. There is section loss at the invert of up to 5 feet long by 18 inches wide, which is undermining the culvert. There are several areas where the barrel sections have separated, resulting in deformation at the joints. This can be seen in the lower photo. The culvert itself is also hydraulically inadequate because it does not provide the required amount of freeboard during the 50-year design storm. I will now turn the presentation over to Jennifer Usher from BL Companies, who will explain the proposed project to rehabilitate the culvert.
Thank you, Susan. So BL Companies was retained by the Connecticut Department of Transportation to develop and evaluate potential rehabilitation and replacement alternatives for this structure. Each alternative was assessed on factors such as safety, hydraulic adequacy, cost, and the potential impacts to property owners as well as the traveling public. And after careful consideration, the department decided that the most suitable alternative involved relining the existing structure with what is known as a glass reinforced polymer arch, or GRP. The GRP liner has a much lower Manning's coefficient, also known as a roughness coefficient, and this is due to its ultra smooth interior. This will result in an increased hydraulic capacity, enabling the structure to actually be able to convey a 50-year design storm. Additionally, the structure will remain hydraulically adequate if the town opts to replace the upstream stone box culvert with a 60-inch RCP in the future. We will provide a detailed description of how the GRP liner is installed a little bit later in this presentation. Here's a look at the plan to maintain and protect traffic. Since this rehabilitation does not involve a full replacement or excavation across I-95, all work can be done from either end of the pipe. This will allow for all lanes of traffic, including the ramps, to be maintained throughout construction. At the north end of the project, the work area along the highway is denoted by the yellow hatched area you see at the top of your screen. We anticipate that traffic along the on-ramp will be shifted slightly to provide an adequate buffer between construction activities and the traveling public. At the south end of the project, another work area along the shoulder of I-95 northbound and the off-ramp will be needed. Traffic along the off-ramp will also need to be shifted slightly to allow for construction access to the outlet. The brown shaded area denotes the temporary access road. To minimize disturbance, a temporary earth retaining system will be used to construct this access road. We do anticipate that approximately 400 feet of noise barrier wall and say 500 feet of guide rail will need to be reset along I-95 northbound as part of this project. And additionally, some of the lighting may need to be temporarily relocated. This slide shows a closer view of the structure outlet as well as the temporary access road. We are in the infancy stages of design, and impacts to the adjacent properties are not entirely known at this time. The green shaded area denotes where we believe temporary easements may be needed to allow the contractor adequate area to complete the rehabilitation. However, we do understand the sensitivity of this area and are working to minimize the impacts to privately owned property. Matt Giannakopoulos is here with us this evening and will talk more about this process, including compensation. I am now going to hand the presentation off to my associate, Stephanie Maurer, to tell you more about the GRP liner installation.
Thank you, Jennifer. My name is Stephanie Maurer. I am a senior engineer with BL Companies, and I'll be detailing the construction of the proposed culvert rehabilitation. This cross-section shows a view of the culvert as if the earth were sliced across Interstate 95 along the length of the culvert. This is a partial section. As you've seen in the previous slides, the inlet of our structure begins in a junction box. So the outlet to the south of I-95 is the sole access point for the contractor to execute repairs and implement the installation of the GRP liner. Here you can see the existing 72 by 44 inch pipe arch culvert. Drainage flows will be maintained throughout construction through the use of a temporary bypass pipe running through the structure. Once the temporary access road has been established, the existing pipe will be cleaned and the GRP pipe liner will be installed. In this view, you can see the pipe liner, shown in orange, being slid into the pipe in individual sections and secured. Once the pipe liner is installed, the space between the two pipes will be filled with cellular concrete or grout, shown in yellow, creating a homogeneous final structure. When the liner is secure, a pre-formed scour hole will be constructed. This will be lined with riprap to dissipate the energy of the flow exiting the culvert. The downstream slopes will be regraded, riprap and plantings will be installed as a means to secure the slope. And finally, the noise barrier wall and guide rail will be reset upon the completion of the grading. No utility relocations are anticipated for the project, with the exception of the potential temporary relocation of the highway luminaires. This project will require environmental permits. The anticipated permits include the United States Army Corps of Engineers Self-Verification General Permit and the Connecticut Department of Energy and Environmental Protection Inland Wetlands General Permit. There are potential right-of-way impacts associated with this project, as previously explained by Jennifer Usher. I will now turn over the presentation to Matt Giannakopoulos to explain the right-of-way acquisition process, should it be necessary.
My name is Matt Giannakopoulos, and I am a project coordinator with the department's Division of Rights-of-Way. It is our office's responsibility to acquire the property rights needed for transportation projects. The proposed project design requires the acquisition of property rights, so I'd like to give a brief overview of the department's right-of-way acquisition process. Please keep in mind, though, that the specific impacts are still being fine-tuned and may change as the design progresses. Any property rights that will be required will be acquired in accordance with Connecticut General Statutes Sections 13A-73 and 13A-98E. Whenever there is federal money used in any aspect of a project, the department must adhere to the Uniform Relocation Assistance and Real Property Acquisition Policies Act of 1970 as amended. Once the design has moved to the point where we are ready to begin the acquisition process, each affected property owner will receive a formal letter of intent to acquire from our office, along with a property map which depicts the exact property rights to be acquired. At that point, our office will determine the fair market value of those property rights and use that value to establish an offer of just compensation. That offer will be sent out to the property owner in writing, and a right-of-way agent will be available to meet with the property owner and explain the project, go over the specific impacts to their property, and explain the state's offer. The property owner will have a reasonable time, typically at least 30 days, to consider the state's offer and enter into negotiations. If an agreement is reached, the states will prepare all the necessary paperwork and record the deed and the property map on the town land records. However, if negotiations reach an impasse, in order to keep everything on schedule, the department may acquire the necessary property rights through its power of eminent domain. In that event, the state files a notice of condemnation in the Superior Court along with a monetary deposit in the amount of the state's offer. The owner would have 6 months from that date to file an appeal if they felt that the state's offer was inadequate. Whether or not the owner chooses to appeal, the money that was deposited in the court is available to be withdrawn by the owner, subject to the discretion of the Superior Court. I know a lot of people, when they hear the phrase eminent domain, thinks that it means the state just takes their property for $1. However, the owners are entitled to at least the state's original offer of just compensation, and the state only takes title to the property rights that are needed for the project. If there are any questions regarding the department's right-of-way acquisition process, I'd be happy to address them once the presentation has concluded.
Thank you, Matt. This is Susan Morneau again, and this next slide shows our estimated project costs and schedule. I would just like to let everyone know that we are a little less than 30% complete in the design process. We are currently estimating a construction cost of approximately $1.8 million, which will be paid for with 100% state funds. No funding will be required from the town. At this time, we are anticipating construction to begin in the spring of 2025 and be complete in the fall of that same year. Please note that the schedule is preliminary and is predicated upon the availability of funding. This concludes the formal presentation portion of tonight's presentation. At this point, I will turn things over to Jennifer Usher of BL Companies, who will be the MC for the question and answer session of tonight's presentation.
Thank you, Susan. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jennifer Usher, and I'm with BL Companies. I will be the MC for the question and answer session. Thank you all for attending tonight's presentation. As indicated, we are in the preliminary design phase of the project, and we want to engage the public to make sure that any questions, comments, or concerns that you may have are heard and considered. That being said, there are multiple ways to submit questions or comments should you have them. First is by email. Contact us using DOT-ROJE35-198@ct.gov. Second, you can contact us by phone by leaving a voicemail at 860-944-1111. If possible, please include the project number or location in your message. And then finally, this is only available this evening, but you can contact us using MS Teams chat if you are on the MS Teams platform. Again, this is only available during the live presentation tonight. For those of you viewing this event via YouTube Live, you will not have access nor be able to view the MS Teams live chat function. So should you have questions or comments, please submit them by email or by phone. Just as one more note, the comment period is open until March 24th, 2022. And with that, we will start the Q&A session, I believe. And let's see, I think we got our first question coming in. Here we go. All right, this is from Frank Adelman. He is saying, I attended the prior meeting on February 11th. At that time, I requested that BL. Sorry, oh, there we go. I apologize. I think I missed the question. Let me start with this. I attended the prior meeting on February 11th. At that time, I request that BL companies share their detailed model and quantitative analysis that confirms that future maximum flow throughout will be no less than the current throughput. I have not received this information, so I'm again requesting BL companies share their hydraulic modeling. Mr. Adelman, we have sent that information over to the town as noted on that February 11th meeting. They have it, and I believe it's under review.
All right, so I'm going to take a minute. This is Quinn Duffy with BL Companies. I'm a utility coordinator and project engineer assisting on this project. I'm just going to take a quick minute to remind everybody of the opportunity to reach out to us to ask questions. The first is going to be by email. Excuse me. And the email for this project is DOTPROJECT35-198 at ct.gov. The other is by phone, which the phone number is 860-944-1111. and you can leave a voicemail. If you wouldn't mind leaving the project number in your voicemail, that helps us kind of determine which project each email is going to, and gives us a better opportunity to answer that. The next option is by MS Teams live event chat. That is on the actual MS Teams live event. Only people who are viewing this presentation through the MS Teams live event chat will be able to use that as their means of asking questions. You can also send the email, which is on the YouTube project description. If you click the Show More button, it will show the project webpage itself, and the email is in that description. You can copy and paste that email into your preferred email provider. That is not an active link. So thank you again for everybody for joining us this evening. I will take this opportunity to pass it back to Jennifer Usher, our MC.
Quinn, thank you very much, and I apologize. It looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. Are you able to hear me now?
Sorry about that, Jennifer. Yes, I was muted. Yep, we can hear you perfectly.
Okay, fantastic. All right. My apologies to everyone. I appreciate your patience. Thank you very much, Quinn, for just taking over in the meantime, explaining the different ways that you're able to contact us. All right, so I'm going to go back to Mr. Adelman. It looks like he has a second question, and see, it says, how long will the, or I'm sorry, I'm not sure if this is from Mr. Adelman or not, but I am seeing this email came in by email, and it's saying, how long will the noise barrier wall be down? That is a fantastic question. So the noise, I think I can take a stab at that. The noise barrier wall will be down for the duration of construction. And again, we're only anticipating that construction will take 1 season. So sometime, I would say probably like 4 to 6 months would be the total duration of that. Let's
and
see.
Jennifer, this is Mike Woods with BL. Just to add to your response, and I hope everyone can hear me. I see a couple thumbs up, so thank you. If we could go back to the plan view possibly, the limits of the noise barrier wall that will be removed during construction are just within the limits of the access road to the culvert. It's not like we've got this enormous section of noise barrier wall that's being taken down for this project along 95 here. We are just doing it in the direct vicinity of the culvert and the access road so that we can get down and construct this project.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. All right. And let's see, I want to make sure. Okay, I'm going to, yes, there looks to be another question from Mr. Adelman. My second question is, can you please describe the GRP insertion process? Does the glass liner rest on the floor of the old culvert, or is it more centered vertically? That's a great question. And please feel free, Dave or Mike, if you want to jump in on this. We're both with BL companies and have participated in the preliminary conceptual design for this. So the GRP, what we want to do is we actually do want to insert that. We do not want to put it necessarily directly in the middle of the existing pipe because we want to match the inverts as much as possible, basically to not disturb the flow. So you will have a little bit more of it centered, you know, I guess closer to the invert, if you will, or the bottom of the pipe. And Mike or Dave, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, Jennifer, I'll just add a little bit. I'm David Chichia, BL Companies. So when they start pushing this pipe through, they'll lay down a couple rails first. So it'll be a little bit above the invert, but it won't be raised up to be halfway between the top and bottom. We typically see about a 3 or 4 inch invert increase, but that's for a typical pipe that kind of has a thicker pipe thickness. For this pipe, it might be around the range of maybe 2 or 3 inches above the existing invert.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that, Dave. And let's see, we have another question that came in. This came in via voicemail, and this person is asking, will the construction block the stream? Let's see, who would like to take that question? Can I turn that over to Mike? Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, so the question, will the construction block the stream? No, I guess, how do we want to respond to this? So During construction, we will handle temporarily the flows going through that pipe from the junction chamber that's located on the on-ramp on the north side of the structure. And that will be pumped through the existing pipe. And then again, you can kind of see it potentially here. The flows will be pushed back into the stream beyond the limits of the scour hole.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, just to add to what Mike said, and again, this is Jennifer Usher with BL Companies. A water handling, a water handling plan will be established prior to the start of construction. It is anticipated that the water will be piped through the existing culvert. However, just to kind of note this, if during construction a high intensity storm is expected, the contractor will be responsible for clearing that area of any blockages and basically allowing the existing pipe and waterway to convey the drainage during that storm. So hopefully that answers that person's question. If not, please chime in again. We'll be more than glad to provide additional detail. All right, we have another question that came in. This came in from Jim Cameron. He is with RTM District 4, and he is asking, how big is the pipe under the railroad tracks that feeds this culvert? Who owns it and who is responsible for maintaining its condition? That question, I think I can turn over to Dave Ciccia with BL Companies. Perhaps you can provide some insight.
Yes, thank you, David Ciccia again. Good question. So that culvert below the railroad tracks is 3 feet by 4.3 feet. I forget which is like the horizontal versus the vertical one. I think it's 3 feet wide and 4.3 feet tall. It's owned, I believe, by the town, and if I'm incorrect about that, please someone else jump in. But I believe it's owned, and the maintenance responsibility is the town's.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. Let's see. Another question coming in. And again, Jim, if we haven't answered your question, please just let us know. I'm more than glad to provide more detail. And let's see, we have another question. This one's coming in via email, and that person is asking what happens if the contractor damages my fence. Let's see. So just so everyone's aware, if anyone has a fence or anything else that's on privately owned property and is not within a construction easement, the contractor would be responsible for repairing and replacing that damaged fencing as needed. So just to be clear on that, that would be the contractor's responsibility. The department would hold them to that responsibility to ensure that that work was completed, replacing or compensating as needed. All right, so just a quick reminder, I'm just going to take a break here while we wait for some additional questions to come in. But again, you can contact us this evening using the email address you see up there on your screen or by phone. And then tonight only, if you are on the MS Teams platform, you are more than welcome to use the MS Teams live event chat. In fact, that's what we prefer. However, if you are using the YouTube live, you will only have access to the email and phone. And please note, you may need to copy that email and put it into your preferred platform. Again, the full comment period will be open until March 24th of this year. So please feel free to reach out to us. The project email is open continuously, so you can always reach us there as well. All right, looks like we have another comment or question that has come in from Rolf Oben. I hope I am pronouncing your names correctly. On February 7th, I emailed Alvaro Garcia asking about the town of Darien proposal to mitigate upstream drainage. The response from the email address stated the proposal is under review and includes installing underground infiltration chambers on the north side of the state-owned commuter parking lot area near exit 10. My question is that this project has been pending for some time, so when can we expect a disposition to this project? I'm going to need to turn that over to someone at the department. This particular project that you are asking about, Mr. Oben, actually does not fall under consultant bridge. So it may be a little bit difficult for us to answer, but perhaps someone from the department could respond.
Jennifer, this is Louis Bacho, Consultant Design Bridge, DOT. I can only say that I can get back to Mr. Oben. I don't know, Al, where did the response, did we get this response from someone inside the department? I guess I'm not quite.
Yes, I do
I'm a little
know
at a
that we
loss.
have recently met with the folks in DOT Rails, as well
Okay.
as a couple other units. I do understand that it's been under review. However, I am not, I don't know when
Yeah.
they're going to be completing that review, to be quite honest.
But
So I
Mr.
think
Oben,
maybe,
I'm sorry, Jennifer, I was going to say, we can get back to him before the week's out with a response on where the status of that underground infiltration. I'm not familiar with it at all. I'll be honest with you, but we can find out and get some information back to you.
perfect. Thank you, Lou. Yes, Mr. Oben, we will get back to you. We'll find out when they're expecting to complete that review and respond back to the town. I know they've been coordinating with the town, so we will just find that out and give you that information.
And Jennifer, this is Louis Batchel again. I'm just going to maybe add a comment about the fence question. And I'm guessing, sometimes the fence may not be on private property and may be on our property. So I think what we would probably do before we start construction is maybe do a quick survey to see if that fence is in fact, if it's on our property, we would maybe inform the owner that you need to move it off of our property. We would not damage it being on our property and say, too bad it was on our property. You got to replace it yourself. We would give you the opportunity maybe to move it, or we would move it carefully or have you remove it so that it won't get damaged if it's on our property. I hope that's not the case, but I don't know if that was the reason for the question. But like Jennifer said, if it's on your property and then we'll be responsible for it if anything gets done to it. But if it's on our property, I think we give you the opportunity to let you know that it's on our property and needs to be removed, because we wouldn't be responsible for any damage if it is on our property. If that's maybe
yes,
a
that's
better
a
way
good
to
point.
say it.
Yep, absolutely. No, that's a good point, because I was only talking about fencing that is on private property that's not subject to an easement, anything like that. If it is on, as Lou said, if it's on state property, we will give you an opportunity to relocate that prior to as we kind of progress through the design. So let's see. We have another question coming in from an anonymous source saying, back to Mr. Adelman's question about the hydraulic flow modeling. We would like to know that information during the public comment period. I'm sorry, we would like to know that information during the public comment period so we can interrogate and question those results. I'm not quite sure what the question or comment is there, but again, I'll just reiterate, we have provided that information to the town and for their review. Obviously, if they have any comments, they are more than welcome to reach out to us. Just as a side note, we have been coordinating with the town from essentially the inception of this project. Once the department had decided, what alternative to proceed with, we will continue to coordinate with the town as we progress through not only the design, but the construction as well. So please know that if you need that information, I'm sure you can reach out to them and talk with the Director of Public Works or the Assistant Director in the town of Darien. Let's see, this question is coming in from Mr. Oben again, and he is saying, should the preform scour hole prove to be inadequate to diffuse water velocity, can the scour hole be enlarged, and is there state property available to do so? Let me see, can I turn this question over to Dave Chichia
Yes.
of BL Companies? Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. David Chichia, BL Companies, once again. So every 2 years, at least every 2 years, this area will be inspected. And if there are signs of a blowout, or if the town notifies the state that there is a blowout, then yes, we could adjust the volume of material out there, adding more stone. We could also utilize bigger riprap. The size is a bit more of an issue because there really is not that much room between that noise wall or where the outlet is in private property. So I would say we're not going to enlarge it towards the south to affect private property. We might have some really bulkier stones along that edge and just widen to the east and west to try to distribute the forces and prevent more damage out there. So yes, there is an ability to modify it and change it and improve it if necessary.
Thank you again, David. I appreciate that. Let's see. So it looks like Jim Cameron is chiming in again. Again, he's with RTM District 4, and he's just noting that the pipe under the railroad tracks, he believes may be owned by CTDOT, which owns the tracks. I do believe the tracks are not owned by CTDOT, and they're actually owned by the railroad itself. But nonetheless, he makes a good point saying, basically, I believe town Public Works Director Ed Gentile has not told us that the railroad pipe is the town's, and is just asking if we can basically back check our information. I think that is certainly feasible for us to do. And Jim, if you wouldn't mind just providing us with your email address or phone number, once we check those, we would be able to provide you with that information just as confirmation, if you wouldn't mind. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. See, we have another question coming in. This is coming in from Mr. Oben, and he is asking if Matt believes that any property acquisition will be required for this project. Matt, I'm going to actually take a stab at this. So just to be clear, Matt Giannakopoulos is with the CTDOT right-of-way division, and he would basically look to the design team to see if there was any acquisitions or easements needed for construction. So as part of that design team, I'm going to hazard a guess here. Mr. Oben, as described in the presentation, not only in February, excuse me, but as well as this evening, we have noted that the project is in the early design phases and that there is potential for, temporary construction easements needed. I believe at this time we've identified 5 properties that could potentially need those easements to accommodate construction. And as noted in Matt's presentation, anything that would be required for construction would be subject to compensation, and it would be negotiated at that time. So as we progress further into the design, we will hopefully be able to identify the exact impacts. However, we also understand that this area is obviously very sensitive. We have residential properties that we're abutting up against. We obviously want to be good neighbors as the state of Connecticut, and so we'll look for ways to either mitigate that or minimize, hopefully, with any luck, be able to entirely avoid. So that is certainly our goal with this project. I'm not really sure what Mr. Cameron is asking, but he's saying, can someone from CTDOT address this? I'm going to assume he's referring to Mr. Oben's question. So perhaps someone from
Jennifer, I'm just going to jump in. I think he's following up his initial question about the.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Yeah, we probably didn't need to publish that one. It was just a confirmation question on his prior one.
All right. So,
and Mr. Cameron, if I'm incorrect on that, please publish again, and we can certainly respond.
And I'm sorry, Al or Lou with the department, would you like to respond to that?
Sure, Jennifer. This is Louis Batchel again with Connecticut DOT. And yeah, while that question was asked, we were confirming amongst ourselves in the chat, and the tracks is Metro North. We own that, and we would own the pipe underneath. So yeah, we were incorrect in saying that the town owns that. So we will confirm that, but we generally Metro North right away is state owned. So that's why the pipe underneath should be ours as well.
Great. All right, let's see. Mr. Oben is asking another question here, asking once the large scour hole is installed, will it be fenced in as a matter of neighborhood safety? So again, I think I'm going to need to turn that over to someone at the department. I believe we are looking into potential fencing options if deemed appropriate or needed. Perhaps someone from the department could confirm.
Jennifer, yeah, this is Louis Batchel again, and then we had this discussion, and this question was asked when we met with the town about a month ago. So to confirm, we are going to look into that. I know there's no fencing there now, not to say that maybe there should be, but we will certainly look into that because I don't know how deep that will be, or But I know there could be young kids in the area that could maybe wander there, and we don't want anybody falling in there and getting hurt or worse. So we are going to look into that. And I'm not sure about the regulations on what we as the department need to provide, but we will certainly look into that and definitely not leave that unsafe if that's determined the condition after we're done.
Okay, fantastic. All right. And again, Mr. Cameron is just apparently noting here that the railroad tracks are owned by the state. I believe that is what Mr. Baccio just indicated. So I think we have clarified that. However, again, as mentioned, we'll just confirm that. And if Mr. Cameron would like to provide his email or phone number, we can just follow up with that confirmation afterwards. So. All right, let's see if we have any more questions coming in. Actually, I'm just going to take a quick break. So again, several ways to contact us this evening, including email, phone, and by MS Teams chat. MS Teams chat is only available this evening and only available for those that are on the MS Teams platform. If you are on YouTube, you will need to contact us via phone or email, email being DOTPROJ-ECT35-198@ct.gov. Or you can contact us by phone, 860-944-1111. Please leave a voicemail. We will transfer that into the chat and address that question. So let's see, another question coming in from Mr. Cameron, and he is asking, if you own that pipe under the railroad tracks, what's its condition and when will it be improved? I do not believe that particular structure, we have that knowledge. Again, we could certainly look into it, but we are focused on the scope of this project, which is really to address the structural deficiencies that are associated with this particular bridge or culvert as otherwise known. So again, we could take a look at that and get back to you if you would like. I would like to just note that the department does basically provide biannual inspections of the structures that are owned by the state. This basically includes your typical bridges as you may think of, as well as larger culverts. I believe it's in everything that is including everything over 4 feet. Someone can please correct me on that if I got that number wrong. So if they do see that they are structurally deficient or in need of repair or replacement, then the department will then undergo an evaluation for potential alternatives to address those conditions. So to my knowledge, that particular structure is not under a situation where it's in poor condition. However, again, we can certainly check and get back to Mr. Cameron.
And Jennifer, this is Louis Baccio again, please. DOT. So you're correct, and that's why I was going to, my next question. I know Dave had mentioned the size being, I forgot, Dave, what you mentioned, the size. So maybe this might be under the 4-foot realm where it's not an inspected structure because of the size, but we will certainly, like Jennifer mentioned, look into that and get back to you. And if it is inspected biannually, we'll have the information on the condition of it.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's see. What else do we have? See if we have any more questions coming in. Again, we have several ways to contact us. The comment period will be open until March 24th, 2022. One thing I do want to make a note of that was mentioned in our presentation, as well as several previous meetings that we've had with the town and abutting residents and RTM members, is that I do understand that there is flooding concerns out here, and we are going to be putting in what is considered to be a structural pipeliner, which does have a smaller cross section. But again, just as a reminder, it's not only the cross section that determines the hydraulic adequacy of a structure. And what we are proposing is actually this glass reinforced polymer liner, which has a very low Manning's coefficient. It's also known as a roughness coefficient. Basically, it equates to being very, very smooth. So with that said, it is actually going to result in a improved hydraulic adequacy of the structure kind of after, you know, the end of construction, and it will be able to convey a 50-year design storm, which it cannot do today. So please, I know it seems a little bit counterintuitive when you think about putting a smaller liner in, but this has been evaluated and modeled appropriately. And again, we've been working with the town. We reached out to the town immediately when this project initiated, just to find out what the upstream conditions were and talk to them basically so that we could come up with a adequate alternative that we were going to propose. So I hope that does help answer some of the questions that I think we're seeing from the residents. Let's see. So we have another question that has come in, and this has come in through email, and they are asking when construction is anticipated to start. Let me see. I'm going to hand that question over to Stephanie Maurer. She is a project engineer with BL Companies for this project.
Hi, this is Stephanie Maurer. I just want to let you know that we anticipate the construction to begin in the spring of 2025, and it'll last, we're anticipating it'll last one construction season, ending in the fall of 2025.
Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate that. All right. Hopefully we answered that person's question. And again, just a reminder, a couple different ways to reach out to us. We appreciate all the questions. We're certainly here to listen to what you have to say. We want to be able to make this a successful project, address everyone's concerns. So please, if you have any questions, add anything in, we'll be glad to answer it. We will be putting into the chat at the end a link to the post-meeting survey. We would really appreciate if you wouldn't mind filling that out. A lot of prep work goes into these meetings, both with the department and you know, BL Companies as the CLE or consultant liaison engineer. Any feedback you could provide us, we would greatly appreciate, just so that we can basically better our presentations as we move forward. Being within the pandemic, we've had to move everything to the virtual realm, so we're doing our best to get information out there and communicate as best we could, but we'd love to hear back from you guys. So if you wouldn't mind just taking a few minutes to fill out that survey at the end, we would appreciate it. Again, if you are on YouTube, you can only contact us using the email or phone number that you see up on the screen. You will need to copy the email into your preferred email platform, send us the question or leave us a voicemail, and we will be glad to transfer that over into the chat and answer your question. So let's see. Another question just came in from Mr. Adelman, a Darien resident. He says, I am reiterating a concern expressed at the February 11th meeting. This project will have a 75-year life or in service to year 2100. Given the intensification of storms and the expectation that such intensification will continue, wouldn't it be prudent to significantly over-design the capacity of this culvert to future-proof, in quotations, against higher flow? In other words, even if you are designing to meet the current Connecticut requirements, that may not be enough for future actual max flows if storm continue to intensify. Thank you. Mr. Adelman, I'll take a stab at this question, and then perhaps Dave or Stephanie might want to add a few comments in. As part of all state projects, they are reviewed for what's considered an environmental review, as well as an environmental screening. At that time, future flows such as, I think you had mentioned previously in a previous meeting, climate change are screened to see if we should be considering any sort of elevation increase. And this particular project basically did not get flagged for that. The flows that we use are the recommended flows that come from not only the federal agencies, but are also consistent with CONDOT's design manual. So I understand your concern. I would say that it probably is fair to say that this is the same concerns that the state and the federal agencies have, and that they are accounting for that with their recommended flows, although I can't guarantee that. But this is what we're kind of subject to use. So with that, if anyone else wants to add in a comment. think
Hey, Jennifer, David Chichia again. I'll just add in a little. So we are utilizing the latest flow rates. I understand that storm intensity is increasing year after year. However, it would take a little bit of coordination with the DOT's hydraulics and drainage unit to make any changes to their standard design as they have it presented in their drainage manual right now. As the rainfall rates change, we will use the revised rates. They are, in the analysis that we utilize, all rates are considered a little bit conservative with the storm flow that is calculated. However, again, we would just need to coordinate more with the effort of making any artificial inflation.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. And let's see, Mr. Oben is also asking, is the water flow analysis based on rainfall tables of 2019? Given the ever increasing rainfall in the Northeast, will the pipe sleeve adequately convey flow for the 75-year lifespan of the sleeve? Dave, if I could call on you as well.
Yes. So answer to the first question, yes. The latest updates cover 2019. The latest rainfall precipitation data covers 2019 storms. Given the ever increasing rainfall, I'm not sure we can give a definitive answer on that, not knowing how bad rain might be getting, any upstream developments, any town projects. Keep in mind the town needs to understand they just can't be developing property or letting private owners develop their own property without knowing the effect of the stormwater system going downstream. So we simply just cannot state for sure what this project is going to look like or what the effect will be in 75 years. We do have a little bit of over design with the smoother pipe flow. It does have the ability to convey more than our design year function as it stands right now, what's calculated. But obviously, if the precipitation doubles in intensity over the next 50 years, we're all going to be in trouble, not just this. So.
No, I think that's a really great point. So, I mean, obviously, you know, the department and the engineers that they retain, we certainly are looking into the future. This is not just a, well, what does it look like today? Obviously, no one can predict what the future will look like, but we can estimate and we can account for that. And so I think that has been done. Again, I do understand that there is flooding effects that has been experienced. I think this will be a great help to that. However, it doesn't fix all of the issues that may be seen. Some of the systems is owned by the town, some of it is owned by the state. So, you know, this will be a piece of that will improve. And hopefully as funding becomes available, we'll see more improvements around. And let's see, another question just came in, this one from Mr. Cameron, and he is asking, where does one find those reports on structures? I'm not exactly sure what Mr. Cameron's referring to. Perhaps he's referring to the NOAA information, Dave. So, Mr. Cameron, I'm going to, and I apologize if I'm making the wrong assumption, but I'm going to assume that you're talking about perhaps the rainfall, or actually maybe perhaps you're talking about the bridge inspection reports. Those inspection. So I'll start with that, and then Dave, maybe I can hand it over to you if he's referring to NOAA. The inspection reports, those are, and again, I apologize, I'm gonna have to defer to DOT on that. We have access to those because they are on the department's basically intranet, and we access it there. I don't know if that is available for public consumption, but Lou, I'll hand it. Thank you.
Sure, Jennifer. This is Louis Batchel again with DOT. And you're correct that I don't think, Mr. Cameron, they're available for the public, but certainly if the public requests one, we can make that ready available for you. So I can certainly get the latest inspection report for, now, are you referring to possibly the pipe under the railroad? Is that where I assume that's what you're asking about?
I believe that, yeah, perhaps he is.
Okay.
And actually, Lou, sorry, just to add to this. So again, Mr. Cameron, we do have an email address that is up on the screen there if you see it. You know, if you have specific information that you're looking for, that either, you know, questions that we were unable to provide the answers to tonight, if you can send that those questions to that email address, we'll certainly get back to you, along with, as Mr. Bacho noted, a copy of the report of if it's an inspection report you're looking for a particular structure. So,
and you know, just to reiterate, Jennifer, I don't think those are available for public, but we can release them as requested. There's just not a place where they can go and just pull them off.
Okay, thank you. All right. And then again, if it is rainfall data, I do think I do believe you were looking for the inspection info, but if it is rainfall data, that does come from NOAA. Dave, do you just mind?
When the report's available, you might be able to see it. But yes, it is the rainfall data from the NOAA Atlas 14 Cornell University study that provided the up-to-date rainfall.
Okay. And NOAA stands for, Dave?
National Oceanic.
Oh, I put Dave on the spot. I apologize for that.
Yeah. We all know
about that.
Oh.
Jennifer, this is Quinn Duffy with BL. NOAA stands for National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration.
Thank you, Quinn. I appreciate that. I think we all work with so many acronyms in our world that sometimes we forget what they actually stand for on occasion. So I appreciate that. All right. Let's see. We have a anonymous person posting, and they are saying, to Mr. Cameron's point, the upstream structures impact the volume of flow downstream. In other words, this project, if the upstream flow increases, it could significantly impact the efficiency of this project, thus our collective concern about the design of the project. So let's see, I'm not exactly sure. I believe perhaps this person is concerned about maybe the increased velocity or flow. It does. So one thing I'll just say is that, again, we will be installing or constructing, I think would be a better term, a preformed scour hole at the outlet. So we are expecting an increase in flow and velocity as noted. The preformed scour hole will be constructed to essentially mitigate and decrease the amount of energy that is seen. So that is kind of a win-win situation where it will allow us to convey that 50-year design storm, which is the preference or the design standard that we would like to try to meet, thereby helping with the potential flooding or surcharging that you may have seen on the on-ramp exit, as well as ensuring that erosion doesn't become an issue in the future. So I think if anyone else wants to add to that and if they understand maybe perhaps a little bit more about this question.
Jennifer, I'll chime in as well, because I think the question might be more related to the volume of flow coming from the upstream developments coming into our project area. One key point is the upstream shopping center with the large underground system that was just installed. That actually is not just their drainage on that site. Much of the northern area of the watershed of the neighborhood, the residential neighborhood, comes down, flows south, flows into that large underground system with all of these storage areas shown in red on the screen. So that's north of West Avenue. Sorry, I could have seen that 2 minutes ago. So a lot of that area is already being captured, retained, and then slowly released down to our site. So it's really up to the town. Any project work upstream of Heights Road is town approved. If they allow other commercial properties or again private properties to put in some additions to their house, increasing the impervious area, it's going to get worse. when the
And one
town.
thing,
Sorry, go
sorry,
ahead.
Dave, not to interrupt you. And again, Dave Chichi, I appreciate it. Again, this is Jennifer Usher. I just want to add in, as Dave did mention, yes, if impervious areas are increased and additional flow is added to the system, as Dave noted, that would increase the amount of flow. However, I don't know what the town's regulations are, but I know many towns in the state of Connecticut, as well as the state of Connecticut itself, will not allow for increase of flows into storm systems. And they will actually look to retain or have that development retain the drainage on site. So that would really have to be deferred to the town just to better understand what their policy is on that. Is that a fair statement, Dave?
That is. Thank you for being more eloquent than I was.
All right, good. Let's see if we have any more questions coming in. So again, I'll just take a little bit of time. I know I probably sound a little bit like a rerun, but I just want to make sure that we are reaching out to everyone that is in here, either listening and or viewing this presentation. This is a really important part of our project, is to reach out to the public, and want to make sure that we're giving everyone an opportunity to voice any concerns and ask any questions. So again, reach us by email, dotproject35-198@ct.gov. That email will be open for quite some time, so please feel free to email us any questions or comments you may have. The phone, 860-944-1111, will be open as well. That will be open until March 24th, 2022. And MS Teams live event chat will be open just this evening, so feel free to use that as well. We would encourage everyone to visit our project webpage, which you see there at portal.ct.gov. /DOT DARIEN 0035-0198. Excuse me. There you will actually find a link to the survey. Also, you should find a link to the survey in the chat if you see it there. Again, it's about probably a less than 5-minute survey. We would really, really appreciate if you would just take a few minutes to fill that out. It does us a lot of good with just helping us understand what other information you may need. I will just say I do understand that there is some concerns by the residents, especially because it sounds like there has been some previous flooding issues, and just try to reiterate the point that this will be this GRP liner will actually help hydraulically to this area. Again, it is going to be able to convey that 50-year design storm, which cannot be done currently, which is why you're seeing a lot of that surcharging. We understand that there will be an addition of flow there, which is why we're looking to decrease that energy of the flow by putting in the preformed scour hole. This is also known as a plunge pool. I should just note that, because I think that may be a term that others are a little bit more familiar with. So the state will continue to be working with the town, the residents, the RTM as needed throughout construction and throughout design. So let's see, I'm just going to give it just another minute here to see if anyone else has any other questions or comments that they want to chime in before we conclude tonight's presentation, as well as our Q&A session. And I see that our project team has taken some time to put in the survey link as well as our project webpage. Thank you very much. Please copy that down. And again, to anyone who is looking for additional information on this project or anything specifically, maybe upstream, please feel free to use our email address to just send us your contact information, along with just some details about what you are looking for or any questions that we can still answer. And someone from the project team will reach out to you. So I hope that that helps. Let's see. Oh, we have another question that just came in. This one is from Mr. Oben. The state-owned commuter parking lot is a large impervious area on Heights Road that is not captured by the Federal Realty cistern. This parking lot needs to be mitigated from flooding Heights Road and in turn the pipe under the railroad. So Mr. Oben, I don't know if we can really address the comment there. So again, I'm not going to deny that or agree with it. This project is really just focused on the pipe that is going under I-95. So that may be another project in the future. However, really the purpose and need of this project is to address the structural deficiencies of the subject pipe. So that may be something that may be done in the future, may be subject to review. Certainly, if you have concerns, you are certainly welcome to voice those. We can pass those concerns on as well. But right now, this is really, the focus is really on this pipe because it is rated in poor condition and we need to address those structural deficiencies immediately. So let's see. So again, I want to make sure we're giving everyone adequate time. So I'll just give everything a couple of minutes and see if we can answer any additional questions. And let's see, looks like, yeah, all right. For those of you on YouTube, I just want to thank you again for joining us. I know you don't have the live event chat. I do appreciate you guys reaching in through the phone and the email. So again, thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right. I don't see any other questions coming in, so hopefully we should be all set here. So again, just final reminder, please fill out the survey. Really appreciate it if you could take a few minutes to do that. By all means, if you have further questions, the comment period will be open until March 24th. Please let us know, send us a email or leave us a voicemail and someone from the project team will get back to you. So thank you very much for your time. I hope we were able to answer your questions, hopefully address some of your concerns, and we will continue to coordinate with you throughout the design and construction of this project. Thank you.